This meeting is being recorded. All right, sorry, recording people. We forgot to start recording, so we are deep into Lucretius de Rerum Natura. We have contrasted the physics of the Stoic universe, which believed in a spiritual reality called the Logos, and the Epicurean universe, who just believed in atoms. Even the gods are made up of atoms. Now we're on to the ethical system, where Epicureans are moderate. They believe in getting out of the limelight so that you don't get killed by the emperor and going to your villa. Now, Epicureans have a basic telos as well. The telos is the goal. And in their ethical system, their telos crap. I'm not sure if I spelled that right. Hedon A. Okay. I thought something looked wrong. Okay. And there's a rough breathing mark that we won't try to replicate at the beginning. Which is the Greek word for pleasure. It's where we get the word hedonistic, hedonism, etc. Does anybody know what hedonism is? Okay, so it is I don't know if you can even rightly call it a philosophy. Let's look at the whiteboard. And we need to draw. So the hedonist believes, in maximum pleasure all the time. The goal, the telos of the hedonistic approach to life, you can't quite call it a system, can you, is simply to maximize my pleasure all the time. And so I get up this morning, it's my goal to get up to 100%. So how do I do that? What are some ways I can maximize the pleasure of November the 17th, 2020? Well, come on, guys. Give me some ideas. I got a party. I'm down here in New Orleans. I got things to do. Well, for one thing, do I show up for class? See, you're the wrong people to talk to. These honors people. You don't know how to have a good time. You can't even imagine it. Oh, your roommates. What would your roommates do to have 100% good time?
Go out and drink.
Okay, drinking. Yeah, what else? That's good. That's a good start.
Drugs and gambling, maybe?
Ah. Yes, right. You can't win it if you aren't in it. What else?
Party.
Partay. Yeah, let's have a partay. What else?
Have the sex.
Yes, the sex. So, if I really put my mind to it and open up my wallet sufficiently, at my age, does that not do anything once you click off? Okay, you can't move it. Sorry. Okay, so I get up, I'm going to drink, do some drugs, gambling, go to parties, have the sex. And if I really, really, put my whole stuff into it, I can get up to 100%, right? That's awesome. Until the next morning. And then what is it like?
Hell on earth.
Okay, I don't feel so good, right? Ugh. So this is just 0 right here. You don't feel good. You don't feel so. The first day I do it, when I'm 17, it goes like this. But does it stay like that? Can I ever quite get back to that 100% from when I was 17 or 18 with my 62-year-old liver? No, it starts going down. And more and more. At this point, my liver is starting to give way. I've eaten too much and I'm fat, and so I can't keep up with the things I used to do. I've spent all my money, and now I'm just trying to break even. I've made myself miserable with the hedonistic lifestyle. The hedonistic lifestyle will make you miserable in the long run, because we simply aren't built to sustain that, trying to maximize pleasure all the time, every day. So the Epicurean lifestyle focuses on what do all Greek and Roman philosophical or ethical systems focus on again?
Moderation.
Moderation. Oh, yeah. So this is how moderation looks to a, and the Epicurean also is more enlightened. It's more philosophical. It's hedonism. And in the hedonistic universe, can y'all see that? Or do y'all just see the white screen? Can y'all see the page over the white screen?
I just see like a blank graph next to the hedonistic one.
Okay. Okay, so both hedonism and Epicureanism share the same basic insight, which is, I'll just put it over here. Pain bad, pleasure good. Do you have to have a high-powered education to understand this insight?
No.
No, the smallest baby among us knows that pain is bad and pleasure is good. And when they feel pain, they cry. And when they feel pleasure, they stop. You know, whenever whatever need it is being met, then they stop crying. So this is animals understand that pain is bad and pleasure is good. So it's a great insight, a great starting place for a real world philosophy, the Epicureans think. But the hedonistic approach is unphilosophical, unmoderated, and it leads to long-term misery. Epicurus himself was a rather sickly sort. And so the idea is that you want to minimize the pain. Sorry about my graph, but you know, I'm going to get up, I'm going to drink really good wine, but in moderation. I'm going to eat really good food, but in moderation. I don't want to give myself gout. I will have stimulating conversations with friends, maybe even the occasional sex. And all of these things might come in moderation. And if there's something you cannot do in moderation, like heroin, you probably want to just avoid it altogether. Does that make sense? Oh, let's put this. So the Epicurean approach is more philosophical than the hedonistic approach, and therefore, how do I get this moved? And therefore, will give you more long-term happiness. Hedonism is focused on today only. Epicurean taking the long view. I may be here 60s, well, not me. If I'm here 30 more years, I'll be doing good. But 30 years is a long time to be suffering from a, fried liver or, have some awful sexually transmitted disease or, have people breaking my legs because I can't pay them back. So I'd rather avoid all that if I could. And so the Epicurean approach is you're not trying for 100%, not even trying to avoid all the pain, trying to have the most amount of pleasure over a long life that we can. And that means moderate highs matched with moderate lows. That's their goal. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so there's our Epicurean approach to ethics. Yeah. Now, I used to think that the way you would choose your philosophy was once when you're young and you would stick with it all of your life. But my professor, Dr. Bob Youngman, had another approach, which is you pick a philosophy that matches the phase you're in, so you can change. When might it be appropriate in your life? Can you still see the screen, my screen? What am I doing? Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Got weird stuff about Mark Twain. Oh, whatever. So how do you choose your philosophy? Do you choose one that you pick and stick with it all your life and become a better and better Stoic or better and better Epicurean? Or do you change when it's appropriate. So when would be the time in a person's life when hedonism might be an appropriate approach?
Very early life, like teenager.
Yeah, teenagers are notoriously hedonistic. Especially like summer, right? You're not in school, making a little money. I used to work at the Piggly Wiggly in the summer, and man, you know, there's not, you're just there, right? And so you're not thinking long term at that point. So maybe a hedonistic teenager, and you know, it's great. Your liver can bounce back after you've hurt your liver that night, and next day you feel bad but not too bad. You're feeling okay later. You can walk up and down stairs without getting out of breath. You're still young and good looking. You might still have hair. And so it's a time when hedonism might apply. What philosophy, well, let's do it this way. So you have to start buckling down, right? You go to school, buckle a little bit like go to college. It's a lot harder studying for college than it is high school, right? And your choices there are flunk out or buckle down. So what philosophy is good for buckling down? So let's say college, then you graduate.
Stoicism.
Yes, very good. You're ahead of me. You graduate, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you have a house, you've got a yard that needs mowing. What philosophy equips you to handle this life? Repeat, can you say it again, Runkel?
Stoicism.
Stoicism. So yeah, I have this one memory of 2 o'clock in the morning. My 2-year-old comes, he's gotten, I think he's sleeping in a bed by this time as opposed to a crib, you know, a baby bed. He's in a bed, so he can get out. My dad, my stomach doesn't feel good, and he starts throwing up everywhere. And I'm trying to get him to the bathroom to get, you know, at least close to the commode. Only he runs out of the room and he slips in it, and then we wind up washing sheets the rest of the night and giving him a bath. And oh, this just was not what Bruce wanted to do at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So I don't want to do it, but the kid's covered in puke. What do you do? What do you do?
Your duty?
Your duty, yes. Your duty is to keep the kid alive and getting back clean. The mom's going to be getting him tomorrow, and she does not want all that all over him. So yes, Stoicism is the philosophy of getting shit done, right? And then I had to get up the next morning, and guess what? I went to work. Ugh. You know, this was not a morning I wanted to go to work. I felt like shit. And not in the good way of having had a fun night. I was up half the night with a puking kid and washing clothes, washing the sheets off the beds, cleaning the floor. It was just, oh man. And so Stoicism comes into play. I didn't want to do a thing of that. I wanted to go back to bed, but I couldn't because I had a duty to the son to, get him back in shape. Later on, I'm 63 years old, my youngest son is 14. In 4 short years, he'll be leaving home. Now what do I start looking at then? What we call the period after my job at Tech ends.
Retirement.
Retirement. Yes, I'm. And what philosophy then comes into play when, okay, I'm not, I don't have, maybe my parents are dead, my kids are off, I'm not married anymore. So what happened? What about, I don't have a job. So what about all those duties that I had all those years?
They go away.
They're kind of gone. And so what philosophy can come into play now?
You could either become a hedon or an Epicurean.
Yes, and remember, what was the Epicurean? I don't guess I put that. Did I? Yes, retirement, right? So Epicureanism, and for them, of course, it's rich people who get educated, and so you've got a lot of money. You can retire at 20, and lots of people do. Look at the Trump kids. So retirement. Now, what might be the advantage of the Epicurean lifestyle for me at 67 in a few short years versus going back to being a hedonist like in college? What's going to happen to me if I wake up when I'm 67 and become a hedonist?
You won't be able to reach the same pleasure you did before.
Right. It's going to kill me, right? My body isn't 20 years old anymore. The stuff that would slow me down then, when I was your age, that put me in the hospital now, and before very long, I would die. You just can't do the thing. My body cannot sustain the activities at 62 that I could at 22. There's been a long 40 years between them. And I've known so many people over the years that retire and die, and I don't really want that. I would like to retire and live, 30 years. And if I'm going to do that, it would maybe be a mix of Epicurean and Stoicism. Hey, Dad, can you help with the grandkids? Well, sure. And then the Stoic part kicks back in, right? Or maybe I want to do something, with society in general with my time. Then the Stoic would kick in, but then there's more time for the Epicurean. I think I'll go on a cruise or, go up to the mountains or whatever, just spend more time, hanging out. And, I like to cook. So that gives you kind of an Epicurean, but if you're feeding the family, it can have a Stoic element too, but okay. So you can either sit down and say, this is going to be my philosophy all my life. That was Marcus Aurelius, right? He was a Stoic from the time he was a young man until he died fighting German barbarians, north. Miserable. Romans hate cold. They don't want to be up there. Why was he there? Because it was his duty. On the other hand, you can select different philosophies, mix and match them throughout your life, and focus on the ones that are more important. And even like married with kids, all this, I may take a week off for vacation, and do something fun. All right. Let me go get my books. Hold on. Are we just doing? Oh no, we have classics of philosophy. Yeah, look at New Orleans. Like people come here for a hedonistic break, right? They want to live life, burn the candle at both ends. But if you live in New Orleans and are not under a bridge, you have to find a way to live here without blowing your life up. And so you learn a certain amount of moderation. So yeah, let's go do Mardi Gras, but we, within limits, right? Okay, let's look at Lucretius 595. No, 349. Well, that didn't work out. I've got the wrong page numbers, don't I? Lucretius. I don't see Lucretius here at all. All right, let's try the other one, Ovid. 595. Rome. Okay, so Lucretius believes we should not fear death because it is just a return to the nothingness we came from. It wasn't suffering before we get here. It won't be suffering afterward. I don't know. I still am not looking forward to death. Lie at ease, free from anxiety. So, nothing, it's like a pleasant nap that lasts forever. Okay. I don't think we need to go too deeply into that. I would still, guys, look both ways before you cross the street. Well, surely Google Books is still there. Own the nature of things. It begins, oddly enough, with a prayer to Venus, the patron of Rome. That's called the proem. Mother of Rome, that's Venus, Aphrodite. Dear Venus, that beneath the gliding stars makest to teem the many voyaged main and fruitful lands. So I don't know how literally he believes in Venus, but he will still observe the formality of invoking his muse, which in this case is the mother of Rome. Substance is eternal. Okay, is there a physics principle that he is kind of stumbling on? Is that the first law of thermodynamics? Law of conservation of mass and energy. It may not be the first law. That may be something else. Oh, energy cannot be created or destroyed. Okay, so they're related. Now, back, at some point we learned that one can change into the other, but the amount of mass and energy remains constant. Yeah, how about that? So, even though he still preserves some of the formal prayer to Venus, he still has a universe that's rather open to science. If you believe that things happen because physical things happen because of physical causes, then you can look for the causes. You can look for the effects. You don't have to think that it's a god mucking about creating havoc. It's just the universe acting the way the universe does. All right, any questions about Epicurus before we move on to Ovid? 727. Now, Ovid is a great poet of the same era as Virgil. This is called the golden era of Roman poetry. I don't think he's, here we go. I don't think it's the silver era yet. Corvinus Messala is his mentor. He had fought with Republicans, which is not very good because they lost. And you find out, if you study the life of Ovid, that he did something along the way that displeased Caesar Augustus. Remember what Plato said to do with the poets? What did Plato in his Republic say we should do with the poets when they show up with their art and their poetry and their stories?
Send them away?
Yes, banish them. And when you're in the Roman Empire, you know, it's big, right? So when you banish somebody, they got to go a long way. So Ovid winds up, you know, the dictator never eliminates all poetry. If you've got a poem that really sucks up to the royal family, talks about how great they are and how horrible Mark Antony and that woman Cleopatra, ooh, how horrible she is. Are you going to banish that poet if you're Augustus?
No.
No, this guy's great. He gets it, right? This is the Augustan myth put into what is truly a great poem. But you know who was also a great poet is Ovid. And instead of getting rewards and a free farm and stuff, he gets sent, I think, to the wilds of Scythia, where he's in this Roman garrison. Yeah, it's Rome, but it's a Roman outpost with, you know, the legions, and there's, you know, a stockade around them, and occasionally arrows will come flying over the stockade. It's just miserable. When you're a Roman poet, or art in general, it's like New York now. You want to be in the center of art. You don't want to be out here in the miserable areas. So amores is the plural of love, and this one is about his various loves, including a woman he's committing adultery with. Now, it may be that Augustus kind of cracked down, or tried to anyway, on Roman sexual morality. They had gotten a bit loose in their standards over the centuries. The tough standards we see at the beginning, you know, as you get rich, you relax your standards, especially on yourself. You don't, you know, oh, why don't I want to go to a party? And so Augustus tried to bring back some of that old Roman Romanitas. That's not a word. He offered to give women extra rights, you know, especially citizens, women's, you know, who were married to citizens, extra rights if they would have 3 or more children. He wanted a baby boom. Let's have a baby boom. Lots of Roman babies. It's a big empire. And if we don't have enough Romans, we'll have to hire Germans to work for us. And they may revert. So it's better to have Romans and therefore have lots of babies. And so he would give preference to matrons who had had a load of babies. I don't know. I mean, is that part of the Catholic Church to this day? You know, the Roman Catholic Church, they believe in lots of babies. I wonder if that goes back to Augustus. I don't think I've ever thought that before. And so adultery is not as popular with Augustus as it would be with other folks. So here he is, he and his girlfriend are going to a dinner, but her husband's going to be there. Your husband going to the same dinner as us? I hope it chokes him. Now, oh my goodness. The way you would lie down at dinner was to recline. Can I do this? Oh, crap. This is a lot of wind-up for not much delivery. Okay, how do I get my screensaver off? There we go. Okay, so a Roman dinner, and Greek too for that matter, they didn't sit the way we do. Oh, can y'all see me? I don't think you can. This is just a mess. Okay. I apologize. Oh, no, that's not right. I think I need to stop sharing. Okay, can you see me now? How do I?
I can see you.
All right, how about that? Can y'all see me? All right, so at your dinner now, you'd be, have pillows and stuff. Not be lying down on your phone. Oh, wait, it's left-handed. So everybody eats reclining. You're kind of lying over like this, eating with your right hand. And I guess there might be a way to make it comfortable. I don't think I could. I don't think I'd be very good at a Roman banquet. Okay, so were y'all able to see that? Can anybody hear me still?
Yeah, we were able to see it.
Okay. I thought I would hear more screaming, my eyes, but apparently it wasn't that bad. Okay. How about the Lady of the Mist? Now let's share the screen. Okay, good. Okay, so anyway, you're sitting, your head's up close to the table, your feet kind of are back, and if you're lying there eating next to each other, it's kind of easy to fool around. And Ovid is very jealous because his girlfriend's husband, they're eating together, lying together as they eat. And he may want to fool around some. He's just having a terrible time with his jealousy. Where are we? 727. Hooey. Okay. So I'm only to gaze at you, darling. Play the gooseberry while another man enjoys your touch. And the Roman we call it a toga party, but the Romans didn't really wear their togas to parties. They wore their Greek clothes to parties. How do I do that? There we go. But otherwise, our picture of the Roman party is pretty accurate. Your basic debauchery. So when he takes his place on the couch, you go to join in, looking angelic, secretly touch my foot. So he's going to be lying, they've got their feet back there when nobody's really noticing, and they can play footsie. I'm bound to see all this. It's what I shan't see that worries me, the goings on under your cloak. Oh my goodness, there's some fooling around going here. All right, number 5 on 731 talks about probably the greatest contribution to civilization, the siesta. You know, people from cooler climes are accustomed to working through the day, but in the places closer to the equator, the time after lunch, you just it's too hot to do much, and so you sleep. In a lot of cities, that's why they have such a nightlife, because it's too hot to do stuff in the day. So what do? You take a siesta, which is a great time for making out with Corinna. On the loose in a short dress, long hair parted and tumbling past the pale neck. Lovely as Laius of the many lovers, Queen Semiramis gliding in. I grabbed the dress, it doesn't hide much, but she fought to keep it, only half-heartedly though. Victory was easy as self-betrayal. There she stood, faultless beauty in front of me naked. Oh, well. 733 says, what about me? I was soft, born in a dressing gown, a reading couch in the shade had sapped my morale. No virtus. This is not a very manly man. This is more of do y'all remember who's the guy that founded Playboy? Crap. Hugh Hefner, yes. How could I forget? Hugh Hefner, you know, if you look at old pictures of him back in the day, he would wear suits, but for the last 20 or 30 years of his life, he just wore robes and, you know, why get dressed? So, women are such sweet hell. The fortunes of love, Cupid, Mars takes after you like stepson, like stepfather. So Ares has an affair with Aphrodite, which would make him not exactly a stepfather to Cupid. But the idea that there's this huge difference between love and war is kind of modern. Okay, let's go to The Art of Love on 739. Which is a tongue-in-cheek how-to book. And again, he's aware that this isn't quite PC. This, you know, it's a little risque. We're not sure if this is what got him banished, but it's like a how-to book. And there are serious books in the bookstore on how to get a date, right? And so this is one of the first one of those, maybe the very first, how to get a date book. But at the beginning, aware of because you would guard your daughters very closely. It's when they get married that they can have affairs, and that's not on Augustus's approved list. So I'm not advising you on how to have an affair and commit adultery. This is how to get a courtesan. Now, what is a courtesan? Anybody familiar with the term?
I think it means like a mistress or something.
Yeah, an escort or prostitute. He's saying I'm not talking about your traditional mistress that you would have an adulterous affair with. We're talking about a prostitute. Now, why do we know that's not the case with this book? What is the secret to getting with a prostitute? How do you do that? Do you have to go to a...
Money.
Money. You pay them money and they do things with you. And that's not in here. So it's all about adultery. And his point is that love, like anything else, can be learned and directed. So that instead of being overthrown by love and destroyed by it in the proper moderation with the proper technique, it can bring you pleasure instead of destroying your life. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So I will be like the charioteer automaton to Achilles. I'll be your guide in love. Venus, help me. So here's his outline. Find the object of your love. So before you can have an affair, you have to find somebody. And I know you kids, they use Tinder, but before the apps, there were actually strategies to go places where you could meet people. Next, you must woo and win your lady. Third, you must ensure that the affair will last. So where are places that you can meet somebody? And there's the promenades that he lists, there are temples. The Jewish folks, what do they do that's a little strange from the Roman perspective?
Bar mitzvahs?
Well, they do have that, but they have something more frequently. You don't want to have to wait for a bar mitzvah. Something every, few days.
The dinner thing on Sunday that they do?
The Sabbath, it is Saturday. Christians changed it. So yes, you are right. The Jewish Sabbath. And why did the Jewish Sabbath seem strange to a Roman? Romans don't have weeks. They have fortnights. They divide their calendar up basically into the calends, which is the first day where we get the word calendar, and the ides on the, around the 15th. And then for some reason, the nones, the nines, they mark that as well. So here, these Jewish people, they have this thing called a week. And at the end of every week, they go to the synagogue, and you can meet some hot Jewish women at the synagogue. So he's not going there for religion, he's going there for dates. What's the best church in Ruston to find dates, by the way? I mean, back when they were having church. I guess they're having it. Is there a good church for finding dates? Anybody? Oh, gee. How are we ever going to get you folks married off? You don't know how to find a date. What about, where else can you hunt dates in modern era that's not Tinder?
At the bar.
Okay, bars, great place to meet people. Church, another great place. Where else?
Maybe conventions sometimes.
A convention is nice, yeah. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
A concert?
A concert is great. Do we have any organizations on the tech campus that facilitate the meeting of people for dating purposes? Have they closed down all the fraternities and sororities? I mean, do those still serve that same function? I mean, I was never in one, being a nerd. How about the, BSU or the Baptist and Catholic and Methodist? There are all these places that maybe have one primary thing, but then they have the secondary attraction of you can meet somebody there, right? So our theaters have always held special dangers for pretty girls. So sit by her, press against her whenever you can. He doesn't do the stretch and put your arm around them thing, but somewhere along the line they invented that. Oh, yes, small talk. What team do you root for? Oh, this one. Oh, me too. And then you have two sweatshirts in your little, backpack there, and whatever she's rooting for, you pull that one out. Yeah. Okay. Get acquainted with her maid. Remember Romeo and Juliet? How is it Romeo was able to get messages to Juliet?
Through the maid?
Yeah, the nurse, but basically she's the maid, the nanny, nursemaid. And so you get to know the maid. Now, sometimes both the lady and the maid are hot, and you want to sleep with both of them. So how do you work that? Who do you sleep with first?
The maid, then the lady?
Now, that would not work. Why? See, you've got to read more carefully. What happens if the maid decides she likes you? Is she going to get your messages to the lady?
No.
No, I'm sorry, sir. She turned her down, but I'm available. So what is the proper order?
The lady, then the maid.
The lady, then the maid. And if you're a lady, who should you be suspicious of? Should you suspect your man? Well, yes or no. It's one or the other.
No.
Of course you should suspect your man. Come on.
I
Can you
just threw it
trust?
out there.
Can you trust dudes? No, you cannot trust dudes. What about your maid? Can you trust her? She's just waiting.
No.
No, of course not. She's just waiting on her chance to get with the dude. What about your best friend? Can you trust your best friend?
No.
No, love is a battlefield, folks. You got to keep your eyes open, right? Eyes peeled. Mistress first, maid second. Never begin your wooing with the lady's companion. Okay, keep clear of all arguments. So this is how to keep your affair going. Who gets to argue in a relationship? What people in a relationship have the ability to argue and not have to worry about it?
Married people?
Married people. Arguing comes with the territory. Arguing is marriage's dowry. If you're married to them, you're going to fight. Now, especially in the upper classes, do people tend to get married because they were in love?
No, it's for like royal marriages and stuff.
Yeah, your folks set you up, you made them, you have to be married to them. Nobody expects you to be in love. Nobody even expects you to like them. I say. But if you want a lady to remain around you and you're her lover, you have to avoid all arguments. Be very agreeable. He is not into the nagging, is he? Okay, so and then book 3, he gives lessons to the ladies. Because you want both sides to know the rules of the game so that it doesn't blow up. Remember what happened with Medea? She's flying away on a chariot with the bodies of her dead sons dangling over the side just out of Jason's reach. We don't want that to happen, right? That's a bit over dramatic for what Ovid is seeking from love. Okay, and he advises women to use their advantages. Like if you've got a nice back, let him see your back. If you've got nice legs, let him see your legs. If you want the guy, but he's not satisfying you sexually, you're not having an orgasm, well, fake it. I don't know. You would want somebody around for a long time if you're not getting satisfied, but that's what he says. All right, let's move on to the Metamorphoses. Now, metamorphosis means change. Morphe is your form. So metamorphe is changing your form. And it is his version of a collection of old Greek stories that he's translated into Latin, given the proper Roman names for stuff. But in his creation story, he talks about the 4 elements. And what are the 4 elements?
Water, earth, fire, and air.
Yes, earth, wind, fire, and water. So everything is always changing into something else. And let's see. Oh, wait, I've got these wrong. Okay, so there are 4 qualities that the elements have. It can be hot, cold, it can be wet or dry. Is that 4? Yeah. So fire is hot and dry, air is hot and wet, earth is cold and dry, water is cold and wet. And as time went on in the Middle Ages, this lasts. It's like, you know, as the first theory was that the universe is made of water. Who was that? He was one of the pre-Socratics. His name is slipping my mind. He was one of the 7 wise men. Maybe Thales. At any rate, later they expanded it. It's, you know, obviously everything is not water, so they added earth, air, and fire, and we're satisfied for the next 2,500 years. It's just ridiculous how slowly science moved from that point. As a second guess, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. Water, you know, that could be seen as an element. Earth is an element. Air, what about fire? And unless you're going to talk about plasma. So liquid, solid, gas, and plasma. I mean, you can make it sort of work. Aren't those the 4 states of matter? Hell, I've been out of school a while, so there may
Liquid,
be
solid, gas, plasma. Yeah.
Okay, so not so ridiculous when you look at it that way. But you know, we've got a long way to go when it comes to chemistry, but we get stuck here. And then they develop this huge framework of you've got humors, where you are dominated. If you're dominated by air, then you're sanguine, and you're dominated by blood. And I think yellow bile is fire, and black bile is it earth or water? I can't remember. Phlegm. Phlegm, I think, is water. So anyway, it's just, you know, and they're all balancing out the humors. And if you're sick, it's because you're out of balance humor-wise. And so how do you rebalance the humors? Well, if they need blood, I guess you get some iron, but if you've got too much blood, then you bleed them. And also we want to use enemas, diuretics, and emetics, make you throw up and go to the bathroom. And that's going to balance out your humors, and you'll be all right. So this theory killed a lot of people, right? So anyway, we see here already they've developed the theory of the 4 elements, if not the 4 humors. I don't know, that may be ancient too. Did anybody studying medicine come across the humors in the ancient time? I know I think maybe so. Okay, so they're atoms, which means maybe he's a little Epicurean. And he talks about how the elements were mixed until something came along and arranged the chaos, nature or some kinder god. And all of a sudden we have creation, but everything was, you know, the thesis is everything changes into something else. So I think that goes back to Heraclitus. And so this becomes the thesis for his work. And unlike a traditional epic, there's not one plot that flows through the whole thing. It's just a series of stories that he hooks together. I think it is in dactylic hexameter, but I'm not sure about that. Ah, Pyramus and Thisbe. Where have we seen that story? Okay, specifically in Shakespeare. Anybody recognize that? In Midsummer Night's Dream, there's a wedding taking place, and the mechanics come out and present a play for the king and queen to be, the king and queen. And it's just ridiculous. Like they've got a guy dressed up as the wall, and he comes out and says, "I am the wall, and this is the cheek through which they talk." And the queen's like, "Well, that's a very considerate wall." So there's that. Then it's played for tragedy, you know, kind of retold differently in the story of Romeo and Juliet, because here are 2 people in love. They, you know, get confused. My lover's dead, and I kill myself. And then the other lover realizes they really are dead and kills. I think it's Pyramus that kills himself, and then Thisbe. So this is love out of balance, right? When you're killing yourself over love, you've gone too far. Oh, yeah, Romeo and Juliet. It's all about Moderation. Do y'all remember that? The priest. I hope this doesn't get me flagged. What year was that? Here it is. Oh, I think this is the wrong Romeo. Yeah, this isn't the one I asked for. Let's try this one. Can y'all hear that?
No, we can't hear you.
Okay, hold on. Why is this doing this? Goodness gracious. I had just gotten my tail wrapped around the axle bad. All right, let's try this. Share computer sound. Share. Okay, can y'all see my screen? Okay, so this is the marriage scene from Romeo plus Juliet. Can y'all hear it now?
Yeah.
Great.
Brother and sister, together we'll make it through. Oh, yeah. Someday a spirit will take you and guide you there. I know you've been hurting, but I've been waiting to be there for you. And I'll be there just helping you out whenever I can. Everybody's free. Everybody's free. Oh, yeah.
These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die, like fire and powder, which, as they kiss, consume. The sweetest honey is loathsome in his own deliciousness. Therefore, love moderately. Romeo shall thank thee, daughter, for us both.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Someday a spirit.
So Friar Lawrence, what is his advice to the young lovers?
Love and moderation.
Love moderately. Where did the Roman Catholic Church pick up such an unusual idea for monotheists? This is part of our pagan heritage, right? The idea that you could pick up the idea of moderation along the way. So anyway, they do not love moderately and they kill themselves. I see we're pretty much out of time. I do want to talk about Midas. What happens to Midas?
The golden touch.
The golden touch. But what does he find out about gold?
Well,
Once
he
he
gets so
has-
greedy that he ends up touching his daughter and she turns into gold and he now feels sorrow.
So, I mean, gold is not the most valuable thing in the world, but let's suppose it is. What is it that makes gold valuable? Why is gold worth a lot of money? Anybody?
Hoard it in one location and keep it from going out.
What's that?
Like scarcity makes it so valuable.
Scarcity. Very good. You've had some economics. Did I spell scarcity right? All right. So what happens all of a sudden if the world is made of gold?
It loses its value.
Yeah, it's the marginal value. Crap. Now, gold, in addition to being scarce, is also beautiful and also useful. And so, you know, you can do stuff with it. But let's suppose you're on a desert island and I've got a gallon of water and you've got a gallon of gold. Which one of us is richer?
The one with the gallon of water.
Right, because water has absolute value, right? What is the most valuable thing in the world? Absolutely, absolute value.
Resources?
Well, which one?
I guess would be oil, but that's probably not right.
No. Think about what you can live with and what you can live without. What's something that if you don't have it, you're going to be dead in about 10 minutes?
Air.
Air. So air is the most valuable, without a doubt, right? Oxygen. Then next is
Water.
water. Very good. You're catching on. And then
Food.
food. But these don't cost the most, right? We typically think of air as being free. And why is that?
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. We get it all the time. We don't meter it out to ourselves. Although we have to spend money, but we do so on the back end with making products that are made in such a way they don't destroy the air around us. They cost a little more, but we don't notice the cost. It's not like we have to put a nickel in something when we breathe the air. On the other hand, if you live where they really have a lot of freedom, then yeah, here's a place. He's got lots of freedom, right? So much freedom, that's what happened to the air.
It's been polluted.
The air is poisonous, and so you get to breathe freedom air that you pay for at the store, right? This is what we call capitalism. So yeah, breathe the sweet air of freedom out of a can of air that you buy. And get rid of all these regulations that are killing jobs, right? All right, so yeah, he's found that when everything he touches is gold, then gold doesn't really have any value anymore because you can't drink it, you can't breathe it, you can't eat it. You can't have golden children. They become statues then, not real children. All right, any questions? Well, it's been a great quarter in spite of being online. I think much better than the spring just because we were able to figure out a workflow and actually have class and do the, what is this, Zoom thing. So any final thoughts? I see we're out of time, so. Thank you, guys. This has been a good quarter. I appreciate you sticking with it. All right, I'm going to end the meeting if nobody has anything to say.
Bye, Professor Magee.
Bye. Don't give Grandma COVID when you go home.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here.